Good morning, everyone. Today we have with us Swaminathan Subramanian. He is the Chief People Officer at Reliance Capital. He is also an ex-colleague of mine. We have worked together in Barclays Bank back in 2007, 2008, and a very dear friend. Welcome, Swami.
Hi, Chirag. Thank you for having me over, and always a pleasure to connect back with you. And this time, I think we're reconnecting after almost 10 years. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
wonderful experience, and I do have fond memories of when we worked together. So, thank you for having me over, and my 2 cents in this conversation.
Thanks so much, Swami. So, given the current situation with COVID-19 and the lockdown, how are things going for you at home and at work?
Well, it is work from home by default, and we are finding ways in which you keep the kitchen fires going as well as the office work going, and there is a jostle for office space within the home. The kid is doing online classes, and the wife and husband are actually jostling for computer space to do work. So we are keeping our sanity all right. It's been quite a long time, but I think we're coping with it all right. We're getting work done, and we are able to get time for ourselves as well. And it's a new learning. And in the workplace, actually, that was how it's going for us at home. And if you were to look at it at the workplace, I think we are, as part of financial services sector, a little bit more oriented towards digitalization and remote working.
Remote work.
You know, people like many companies and banks have actually had already introduced prior to COVID video calling with customers, and digital onboarding of customers or fulfillment and IVRs and other remote channels through which people can, customers are still being serviced.
Right.
So to that extent, financial services is a little more equipped.
Yeah.
The only bit which we've gotten better at over the last 3 weeks is coordination amongst ourselves. So we're using various technology platforms, and the discipline, more importantly, the culture and discipline of actually adhering to timelines and coordinating well amongst
Because nothing really had equipped us.
We are dressed like this. That's the only difference. Yeah.
No, I said nothing really had equipped us for this kind of a situation in the past. So everyone's sort of unlearning and relearning a new way of
working. It's a real cultural adaptation. And particularly for me, if I were to say personally at the workplace, I report to a 28-year-old boss, and over the last 2.5 years have learned new ways and mostly remote ways of contacting and taking instructions or delivering and reporting online. So I think personally for us it's been less of a challenge, but yes, we run larger companies like insurance companies and securities broking and lending. So
Reliance is a big name, and that's why I was keen to hear, because the scope of responsibility that you have is enormous.
So there you go.
In terms of what's happening in the industry and the economic slowdown that we faced, so what kind of cost rationalization do you see across the board? I'm sure somewhere you'll have to rationalize on the costs.
Yes. So let's split it into two parts. One is how the last financial year has gone by.
Right.
And that concluded as of March 30th, and some of the companies are still struggling on how to get the audited accounts through. The government has given us leeway. So in terms of financial impact, I will segregate the last financial year on an impact of probably the month of March, or probably second half of March. So relatively speaking, the last financial year has gone by to what people were holding.
Yeah.
To that extent, reward measures that we are adopting to people is to basically reward for past performance. And there is, as you are aware, in financial services, there is a significant component which is attached to last year's performance. And to that extent, we are at this point in time holding true to that. The second part is really how FY21 and beyond is going to look like. I think there is there needs to be a lot more thought going into more than the impact of lockdown, the actual change in customer behavior, if any, and certain permanent impacts on certain industries that we serve, including our own, will have to be baked in, and we will work through some of the operating plans for the year. It's gotten delayed a bit. And if need be, then we would need to take some prudent measures in terms of if volume is likely to be lower, then our staffing is going to be lower.
Absolutely.
But it is safe to say, Chirag, I'm not ducking a question, but it's safe to say that it's going to be very conservative in terms of any form of cost increases by way of adding headcount or even probably compensation increases. It's going to be selective and targeted. That's all I can say at this point in time. We haven't really congregated together to say what business plans are looking like.
Right.
But one important thing that's coming through in your question is actually there's going to be a longer term change in the way we look at revenue and costs beyond, let's say, this period of COVID and lockdown, right? So there's going to be a longer term impact, and that is something which we need to evaluate.
Maybe, we might be doing the same jobs with less number of people. I don't know. I'm just thinking.
Absolutely. I'll give you certain examples so that this comes through. We thought that we need to have certain branch with a certain amount of capacity, and we would take certain real estate space.
Right.
Let's say, for argument's sake, a branch needed to have, and I'm talking about, let's say, where we do distribution of financial products, to say about 5 or 6 people. It's borne out during this period that you could actually have a few of those staff working remotely, and probably a limited number among that capacity that I spoke about present in the branch to be lower, and for actually servicing footfalls, etc. Which means that future planning, maybe with the same number of people, but probably the capacity of the office space is going to be less, because you expect people to be on rotation or working remotely, and probably coming staggered hours, or as and when you need to come to work into the office.
Thanks, Swami. I'm so happy that you joined me today, and always a pleasure seeing you, that too after almost 10-12 years.
Yeah, welcome, Chirag. Yeah, welcome anytime. And I hope this has been useful. And we don't claim to know it all. We are grappling with it as much as everyone else is, and we're discovering new methods and new coping strategies by the day. And I do wish everyone, a very sane, healthy, and safe environment for them to be, including you, Chirag. Thank you very much.
So much. Thanks, Swami. Yeah. I'll be in touch.
Thank you.